On the doorstep of Australia's largest city is a wilderness of exceptional natural beauty. Shaped by the forces of nature, a combination of dramatic landforms, fragile ecosystems, and ancient cultures. It attracts more than 4 million visitors a year. Yet, many of its natural wonders are rarely seen. This is the Greater Blue Mountains, a World Heritage Area spanning more than 1 million hectares. Join us on a journey as we uncover its secrets and discover its hidden wonders. The Jamison Valley. The shady escarpments here are perpetually damp, protected from droughts and fire. These are temperate rainforests. They occupy just 1% of the land, yet they support a countless number of species. The forest here is made up of coachwood and sassafras. Shade-tolerant species exist below. The Superb Lyrebird. A female foraging with her young. The juvenile is learning to feed for itself, but still receives an occasional morsel. Lyrebirds have powerful claws. Over the course of a year, she will shift up to 60 tons of forest litter. The name lyrebird comes from the male of the species. When spread out in display, his tail feathers resemble a lyre, an ancient musical instrument. Largest of all Australia's songbirds, his song is a complex arrangement with perfect mimicry of the birds that surround him. The whipbird, the currawong, black cockatoo, his display is an elaborate song and dance, used mostly for courtship of a female. But today's performance is for territorial purposes. Elsewhere on the forest floor, another life force is silently at work. Hidden until it rains, only then do its fruiting bodies emerge. Fungi are the recyclers of the forest. They decompose dead organic material. Exactly how many species grow here is a mystery. But without them, these forests could not survive. The story of the Blue Mountains began more than 300 million years ago. The mountains we see today were once part of a giant river delta. Over millions of years, the rivers laid down massive quantities of sediment, increasing depth, eventually transforming them into shales and sandstones. In time, massive tectonic forces pushed the rock strata upward, forming a broad sloping plateau, peaking at more than 1,000 meters in the west. The erosive force of water has since carved deep valleys through the plateau. Though its sheer cliff faces were created by another force: gravity. The weathering of soft shale layers undermines massive blocks of sandstone. Weakened by vertical cracks, they eventually topple into the valley below. A process that continues today. Indigenous Australians established tribes here around 22,000 years ago. And for those thousands of years, they hunted and gathered, their customs and culture recorded in the land. "85% of the Blue Mountains is made up of dry eucalypt forests. Surviving in soils with little nutrients, plants have hard and often spiky leaves. Almost a third of all Australia's bird species exist here. More than 250 have been recorded. Exposed ridges and valley escarpments are home to reptiles. Skinks, dragons, and monitor lizards are common. Along with many species of snakes. This is Boyd Plateau, the highest land in the Blue Mountains. Its woodlands support a sizable population of red-necked wallabies. Named for the distinctive rusty colouring on their upper back. Wallabies have an acute sense of hearing, always alert for danger. Alpine dingoes hunt here. If pursued, they can flee at speeds of more than 60 kilometers an hour. Licking of paws and forearms is usually a means of cooling, but sometimes is a response to nervous excitement. Sexes are differentiated by their size and stature. Adult males having larger upper bodies and growing up to twice the size of females. Echidnas inhabit the woodlands too. Like the platypus, they are one of only 2 egg-laying mammals. Covered in spines, which are actually modified hollow hairs used for defense. If disturbed, they can quickly dig themselves into the ground, curling into a menacing ball of spines. Echidnas feed on termites and ants, consuming as many as 40,000 a day. To the east is Kanangra Walls. Here, the plateau falls away 1,000 meters into the valley below. The arrival of spring comes with an abundance of wildflowers. More than 1,500 species grow here. Waratahs entice pollinators by producing large quantities of nectar. Trigger plants are less subtle, dusting them with the release of a club-shaped arm. Scribbly gums are named for the patterns in their bark, created by the larva of the scribbly gum moth. Rarely seen due to their size, here she lays her eggs beneath the bark. As larvae develop, they bore their way up the trunk, leaving behind these distinctive scar patterns. Dispersed across these wooded plateaus are marshy areas filled with sedges, ferns and grasses. These are the Blue Mountains hanging swamps. Like giant sponges, they hold back water, gradually releasing it into the valleys below. An eastern water skink. Common along the banks of these streams, they feed on water beetles and aquatic insects. Each has their own territory. He's noticed an intruder, a juvenile mountain dragon. Head bobbing is a warning to the trespasser. And is usually enough to avoid conflict. Often heard before being seen. The yellow-tailed black cockatoos. One of the largest cockatoos in Australia. They have powerful beaks used to extract seeds and to dig for wood borers. They visit these streams in the afternoon before returning to the woodlands and the valleys below. At the edge of the Sandstone Plateau, gardens cling to sheer cliffs. With virtually no soil or nutrients, the plants here have found an ingenious way to survive. They are carnivorous. Sundews are a group of plants that feed on insects, attracting prey by secreting a sticky substance on external hairs, entrapping and suffocating the victim. Using digestive enzymes, the plant draws nutrients from its prey. Further south, below the waterfalls on this small stretch of cliffs, is the Dwarf mountain pine. An unremarkable looking plant, but so rare only 755 have ever been recorded. Found nowhere else on Earth but here. Their survival is due to the spray from these waterfalls, a natural shield against bushfires. More than 600 meters below the Sandstone Plateau, flanked by massive cliff lines, is the Grose River. For tens of millions of years, it has carved this deep valley. Fed from the streams and the waterfalls above, its course passes through a towering stand of eucalypts. Mountain blue gums. The tallest tree here was measured at 65 meters and is over 600 years old. Blue gum forests contain nocturnal species like possums and sugar gliders. The predominant birdsong comes from a resident that is heard but is rarely seen. The bell miner, commonly known as the bellbird. A native honeyeater closely related to the more common noisy miner. They live in colonies as large as 200 birds, mobbing, harassing, and driving out all other birds from their territories. Occasionally, when conditions are just right, the valleys of the Blue Mountains are transformed into a sea of clouds. A phenomenon known as a temperature inversion, occurring when cool night air descends from the plateau, flowing beneath moist air in the valleys below. In the north is the Wollemi National Park, the largest wilderness area in Australia. Some areas are so remote they remain largely unexplored. And here, in an isolated canyon, exists an extraordinary grove of conifers. The Wollemi Pine, one of the oldest and rarest trees on Earth. Discovery of the surviving grove in 1994 was hailed as the botanical find of the century. The species was believed to have been extinct for 2 million years. There are fewer than 100 mature trees growing in the wild. To this day, their location remains a tightly held secret. The landscapes in the Wollemi region are unlike anywhere else. Sandstones here contain thin seams of ironstone, more resistant to weathering than the sandstone beneath, creating these unique dome-shaped formations. The Blue Mountains is home to the largest number of slot canyons anywhere in Australia. The majority occurring in the Wollemi wilderness. Formed when a stream works its way through a vertical crack, over time cutting a deep trench through the sandstone. They can be as narrow as a metre wide and more than 30 metres deep. And living in the labyrinths below is the Sydney Spiny Crayfish. The dominant predator of these canyons. They feed on decaying organic matter and have even been known to eat their own young. Juveniles have just one chance in 1,000 of surviving to adulthood. Exactly how long they can live is unknown. Perhaps more than 50 years. High above in this dry canyon, constructed from grass and moss bound with spiders' webs, is the nest of a brown thornbill. Here she has laid a clutch of 3 eggs, which she will incubate for around 20 days. Attached to this rocky overhang, her nest is safe from predators. And here she lives, like so many other species, hidden away beneath the scenic panoramas of this remarkable World Heritage Area. The Blue Mountains is indeed an extraordinary wilderness. Its hidden worlds, sanctuaries for unique, rare, and endangered species. The ecosystems here are fragile. Some exist nowhere else. There is an unmistakable power in the beauty and the scale of this landscape. Let this inspire us to do all things possible to protect and preserve this unique natural wonder.